All right, real estate agents, you're asking the absolutely wrong questions when you're interviewing brokers and trying to determine who you're going to affiliate with. It's Dave here with Elite Real Estate Coaching and Training, and today we're going to talk about the kinds of questions, the kind of things you should be looking for when you as a real estate professional are interviewing and trying to determine what company or what brokerage you're going to hook your wagon to when you go off and sell real estate. I hope you stick around. Welcome back to the channel, guys. It's Dave here with Elite Real Estate Coaching and Training again, and I had a really great conversation this week with a potential recruit that was thinking about joining our organization. And they asked some really great questions, and then they were really focused on some of the absolutely wrong questions. Now, that's not abnormal for me. I talk to a lot of real estate agents on a daily and weekly and monthly basis, so I'm pretty used to the kind of questions that they're going to ask. The challenge is getting them to understand the right questions that they should be asking. So today we're going to kind of dig into that and maybe help you when you go into talking to a broker, or if you're looking to make a move, and if you are a brand new agent, man, this is super, super important for you. Because there are certain things that you need to be looking for as you affiliate yourself with a real estate company. The first question, and I've got 7 of them written down here, is not commission splits and fees. In fact, of my 7 things that I've got written down today, commission splits and fees aren't even on the list. Are those important? Sure. Will they become more important later on? Possibly. And do commission splits and fees need to be fair and equitable to all parties involved? Absolutely. But let me ask you this question. As a real estate agent, do you want to be the cheapest agent in town? I'm going to assume the answer to that was no, because you don't want to be known as cheap. You want to be known as the best. If you're like me, I don't really care about being cheap. I want to be the best. And now there's this crazy race to the bottom in the real estate brokerage community right now where a whole lot of players in the industry are just trying to figure out how cheap they can be, how many less services they can provide, how many fewer tools they can provide, how they can strip away all the tools, the training, the technology, and everything and make it just as cheap as possible. You're not doing that for your clients. As a great listing agent, in fact, it's just the opposite. You're trying to figure out, how do I go out and market that property? How do I do an excellent job of presenting it and myself to the community? How do I build value so that the consumer then refers me more and more business? You're not trying to be cheap. Why do you want a broker that's cheap? You don't. You want a broker that's going to give you all the tools and support that you need. And you probably ought to start with these 7 questions I'm going to ask. The number 1 question is, who is the broker? The broker makes a difference in this world, right? So the person who's responsible for protecting you and your license, the person that's out there looking at your files and running the brokerage, who is that person? And is that a person that you want to work with on a daily basis? Now, here's a real interesting twist on that. Are they accessible? Is the person that's responsible for helping you with all of this accessible? Are they somebody that you could reach in an evening if you had a problem, or a weekend if you had a problem? Or are they a broker, like many, who are just kind of a Monday through Friday 9 to 5 thing? Look, that's great if you're a really super experienced agent with no need or help from a broker, and you've got all the tools and training that you need, and you've got this whole real estate game mastered and figured out. Maybe you don't need access to a broker. But what I know is that even in my company, where we have people who've been with us 20 and 30 years, our best agents are the ones that are always evolving, always learning, always adapting, always training. You see, in our industry, you're either doing those things or you're becoming obsolete. You become a dinosaur, and you're not going to make it in this business. You will go out of business pretty fast. I don't want that for you. So a broker, the right broker, is helping you be more successful. They're working with you on a daily basis. They're accessible to you when things go wrong. And let's face it, in our industry, when things go wrong, they tend to go wrong in evenings and weekends. So how accessible is your broker? probably one of the more important questions to ask. Can you call them when you need them? And will they be there to help you when you need them? The second most important question, or number 2 on my list of 7 here, is who does the training? So is it the broker that's doing the training? Are they the person responsible for running the training program within the organization? Or is it something that they've delegated off? And is the person doing the training experienced and knowledgeable? Or is it all just a theory out of a textbook for them? Does the person that's doing that training have a track record of success so that you can emulate the behaviors that they're teaching? Or is it something that's just kind of out of a book or theoretical for them? In many cases, the person doing the training is somebody who couldn't quite hack it as a real estate agent, and so they delegated training to them in hopes that they could find a good place for them in the organization. Is that the kind of person that you want training you? When it comes to the training, the next question is, how often do they train? Is there training on a weekly basis, a monthly basis, a quarterly basis? Is there something that is maybe once or twice a week? Every organization is going to be different, but the question becomes, are they doing enough training on a regular and consistent basis so that you can get the training you need to continue your evolution as a professional real estate agent? So once we figured out who the broker is and are they accessible to you, are they going to be there for you when you need them, and then what's the training look like? Is it a formal training program? And who is responsible for the training and how often the training is? And does that training schedule work for your schedule as a realtor? Well, we got to move on to number 3 on our list. To me, number 3 is probably the single most important thing on the entire list, and that is culture. What is the culture like in the organization? Is it a culture of professionals, or is it a culture of kind of wannabes, or people that you wouldn't want to be like? I think it's really important for you to walk through the office and get a feel for the people in the office. I really think before you choose a brokerage, it's a great idea to go to an event that the broker is having, or go to a training that the broker is having, or attend a sales meeting that the broker is having, and get a feel for, is that the kind of place that you want to be? All brokerages have a little bit different culture. I've been in brokerages where everybody comes in every day, they run to their office, and you just hear the door slamming, boom, 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 as the agents close their door and kind of retreat back into their own little world, and they're not sharing and collaborating together. I've also been in brokerages where the collaboration is absolutely amazing and people are leaning into it on a daily basis, and there's an energy in the building and sharing in the building. And even though people are competitive, they don't see each other necessarily as the competition because they're building sustainable businesses, and they think that your winning is another win for their organization and makes them look better, so they're constantly willing to share with you the things that they're doing. See, culture is important. Is it toxic, or is it fun? Is it positive and inspirational and sharing, or is it a place where there's negativity? Is it a place where the people around you are playing the game at a really high level? Or is it a place where all the other people around you are also struggling and trying to learn and grow? You see, to me, when I'm choosing a place to be, I want to be around the best. No matter what it is I'm doing in life, I want to be with people who play the game at a high level. They're going to challenge me to play the game at a higher level, and I'm going to be better because they are better. Or I could choose to go someplace else where everybody's playing the game at a really low level. Something you may not know about me is I used to coach youth soccer and some pretty high-level competitive soccer teams. And one of the things that was fascinating to me is our young soccer players would play to the level of the opposing team. If we were playing a really amazing team, a high-caliber team, our players would play super well. They were more focused, they were more disciplined, and they knew they had to play their game at the absolute best or they weren't going to win. When we would play down to players or teams that weren't as talented or as well trained as us, we tended to get a little more sloppy and play down to their level. So when I talk about the importance of culture, the importance of the people that you're going to be learning with is equally as important as the person you're going to be learning from. And let's face it, there's a whole lot of learning from these other really high-level producers within a real estate office, and it's kind of important that you have that. By the way, it's got to be a place, if that's the case, that you can go to. Because it's no good for you to sit at home all day long and not interact with these humans. There's a tremendous amount of real estate sales and transactions that happens because of the relationships within a real estate office. Number 4 on my list is what is their national presence and footprint like in the marketplace? Now, I know there's going to be some people who will disagree with this, but for me, 25 years in the business, I see a tremendous value in a national brand that is well known in places outside of your small area. Now, think about it this way. If you're moving from Dallas, Texas to Shreveport, Louisiana, if you're moving from, let's just say, Daytona, Florida to Omaha, Nebraska, do you know what those small independent brands are in the cities that you're going to? Or are you more likely to gravitate to a well-known, well-established national brand? The other key thing for you to remember here is this. There is a tremendous amount of real estate transactions that are done every year when an agent is referring their client to a new community and an agent within that community. If I'm leaving Kansas City, for instance, and I'm moving to Oklahoma City, my agent in Kansas City that's helping me sell my home is very well equipped to help me interview and select the absolute best agent for me in Oklahoma City. Now, the odds are pretty darn high they're going to do it within their national brand because there's some protections for them to do so. And there's a lot of money that changes hands on this every year. One of our top coaching clients, who's making well over $400,000 a year, is getting roughly 1/3 of their income from referral partners within their network every single year. So they're getting people who have clients who are moving into their community, calling them and arranging them to work with this agent. Guys, that's incredibly important. I cannot stress this enough for you. You having a brand that has a footprint and a group of trained professionals across the country and sometimes internationally that can send you referrals because you're developing relationships with those agents across the country and across the world is an important part for your real estate business. So think about that as you start to launch your businesses. Can I build relationships with other agents within that brand across the country, across the world, that can then send business to me and I can send business back to them? So now we're back in the real estate marketplace here, and number 5 on my list is what is the reputation of that company and their agents and that broker within the community? It can be kind of competitive out there, and there are agents that nobody likes to work with. There are companies that the other agents in a community don't like to work with. And I'm not saying that you won't get any business because you picked the wrong brokerage, but you will be labeled as like the people in that brokerage. And so asking yourself is, what is their reputation like? And is that a reputation that I would like to have? Is it a high quality reputation? Are they known for excellence? Are they known for a place that only new people go? Are they known for a place that's the cheapest in town? Are they known for a place that is full-time professionals? What are they known for in the marketplace? And it's more than just a name, it's more than just a brand, because any brand can have strong players in a local market and any brand can have weak players in the local market. So when I talked about the importance of picking a brand that has a national or an international presence and a footprint out there, it's also important that that brand is really strong in the community where you're going to be working. Speaking of the community where you're going to be working, number 6 is where the heck is the office? Is it in a place that is convenient for you to work to or within a realistic time for you to get to? You, for instance, wouldn't want to drive 2 hours. And guys, this whole trend right now of a virtual office, I'm vehemently against it. It is very hard to connect with a human being over the internet. We've seen that. We saw how hard that was as we worked our way through COVID. People need to interact with one another. We need to see one another. We need to feel like we're part of a bigger community. And that is incredibly challenging when you try to do that virtually. So where is the office? Are you going to go to the office? Is it a type of office that you would want to be at? Is it a good looking office? Is it a place that you would want to bring your clients to? Is there community space within that office where you can set up shop and work? Or is it only private offices? Is there a community space where you can bring clients in, like conference rooms? Or is it the kind of place where you're actually better off meeting them at Starbucks? Guys, I know we do a whole lot of business out in the field, but it's not super professional to be trying to conduct business at a Starbucks and have a private, confidential conversation in a room where there are a whole bunch of other strangers listening to everything you say. I know as a real estate agent, hanging out at a place like Panera or Starbucks may be a great way to meet people, but that is not the greatest place to have a private business conversation where we're discussing things like people's finances and their money and how much they're going to offer on a property. So where is that office? What's the space like within that office? Is there community space in that office? Is it a place that you're proud to bring your people to? Is it a place that you're going to go to? Is it a place that the other agents are going to and collaborating together and working together, sharing ideas together and learning from and with one another? Number 7 on my list is, what does their tech tool package look like and what does their internet presence look like? Technology is important. It used to be when I got into this business, technology was a small piece of the pie. Today's modern real estate agents are high-tech salespeople. They're out there with their laptops and their tablets, and the tech tools they have are incredibly important. So do they have an incredibly robust CRM for you to use? And are there people within the organization there that can teach you those tech tools? It's one thing for a company to have a whole bunch of great tools for you to use. It's another thing for them to have somebody that can actually teach you. That goes back to that teaching piece we talked about earlier. Who's teaching the technology within that organization? Or are you left to figure it out yourself? Or are they going to just tell you to watch some videos online? The other piece of this then becomes, what does their internet presence look like? Do they have a website for you? I would hope the answer is yes. And wow, this becomes incredibly important. The consumer expects you to have an internet presence. They expect you to have a searchable IDX feed is what we call them, or a val feed, where they can get the look at the houses on your website. That doesn't mean they're always going to look on your website. The consumer knows that they're going to either like Realtor.com or Zillow or Remax or Keller Williams. It doesn't really matter which website they're on when they're searching. They just want to know that you have one and that it is usable for them. Speaking of your internet and your website, guys, do yourself a favor. Learn the lessons of the past. Quit making your websites about you. The consumer doesn't care. The website should be about the one thing that they're driving there for, and that is to look at houses. They want to see pictures of houses. Give them pictures of the houses. They will stay longer. They will look at more, and then they will get used to using your website, which is incredibly important. That's my top 7 things that you need to be asking and finding out about when you talk to a broker and you're trying to figure out which brokerage is the right fit for you. There was an NAR statistic that came out a few years back that said something crazy like the average agent stays with a brokerage for about 5 years. The reason that is because they didn't ask the right questions on the front side for the most part. They asked the wrong questions. The question that everybody wants to ask me right from the beginning is, what's the commission split and what are the fees? Well, think of it this way. 100% of nothing is still nothing. So it doesn't matter how great the commission split is if all these other things are wrong. See, if you're just looking for the cheapest brokerage in town, you're in the wrong mindset, because you're not thinking like a business person. The cheapest brokerage in town is going to supply you less and less and less, and you're going to have to figure out more and more and more on your own, and you will be alone. And that begs a really tough question. If I'm going to be on my own and I don't get anything for it, why the heck would I go to a brokerage that way in the first place? Why not just go get my broker license and be my own broker? See, if you're not going to lean into the tools, the technology, the culture, the building, the location, the people, the training of an organization, you're better off just getting your broker license and do it on your own, because you've already said there's no value in those things to you. And it's okay, guys. That's no slam on those of you who don't want those tools. Good, more power to you. But don't pay for them. Go someplace without any of that crap, because you don't need it. You've already figured this thing out. You know better than the rest of the world. Have fun with that. I wish you nothing but success. But if you find value in those other things, it is incredibly important that you write those questions down and you ask them. Quit rushing into brokerages and having a 5-minute conversation and deciding that person was charming, I'm going to go to work for them. Ask deeper questions. This is a business decision. You're trying to figure out who you're going to affiliate with on average for the next 5 years. By the way, in my brokerage, the average time is over 17 years. That's what happens when you build a culture that is conducive to growth and success. That's what happens when you run a brokerage that is built towards serving the agents and not serving the broker. That's what happens when, as a broker, you take the responsibility of helping your clients, which are the agents, by the way, when you helping them achieve at a super high level. That's when you play the game at a high level consistently as a brokerage. You don't have that turnover. Sometimes people come and go in brokerages. It's okay. We're not a great fit for everybody, and I know that. But I also know that if you want to play the game at a high level, you want to make a life-changing income, you want to do the things that we teach, you want that level of support, that's what we do for our agents. Not everybody needs that, and that's okay. Guys, I hope you enjoy the video. If you have questions about my thought process on picking a right broker, I'd be happy to share with you. Not every brokerage is right for every agent. Figure out what you need, what you're looking for, write the questions down, get the right answers, and everything's going to be okay for you, because then you're going to have longevity at that company instead of this jumping around. It doesn't look good for you as an agent to jump around a lot. If you do like my videos, go ahead and click that wonderful subscribe button if you have not already done so. It is kind of important to me. It means a lot to me. I appreciate it. We'll get more videos out soon. And until then, I hope you continue to be greater than average.